Hey everyone, welcome again to another episode of Disability Landscape. My name is Charlie Bros. My partner Mark Knutson has left the country. But I would like to introduce you to my co-host for today and hopefully a few times, good old friend, Mr. Paul Pranghofer. Paul, how you doing?
I am doing great. I'm really excited to be here today and participate in this.
Well, we're glad to have you. Like to jump right in and introduce our guests for today. Name is I'm going to screw it up already. Jameis Werenberg.
Correct, Jameis Werenberg.
Yeah, I had the right name, last name right, but I messed up the first name.
That's okay, I get it all the time.
And Jameis, you with a state agency or state group called Minnesota Star Project.
Program.
Program.
Yep. Minnesota Star Program.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about what they're all about?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for inviting me today.
Always glad to have you.
I'm glad that we could be here to kind of showcase our program.
Mm-hmm.
We are the Minnesota STAR program, and STAR stands for a system of technology to achieve results.
Oh, cool.
So we are based out of the Department of Administration in the city of St. Paul near the Capitol.
Okay.
We're in one of the state buildings there. And yeah, we have quite a rich history.
Okay.
So,
how far back does STAR go?
well, we go back to around 1987. Okay. So around 1987, Governor Rudy Perpich at the time formed the Governor's Advisory Council on Technology for People with Disabilities.
Okay.
Then in 1992, Governor Arne Carlson signed an executive order which provided the administration of technology-related assistance for individuals with disabilities. It's a mouthful. It's also known as the Tech Act. So if you've ever heard of that, that's the Tech Act. Act, and it was an executive order appointed by the Department of Administration, and it made us the lead agency for the program.
So just in '87, so you were this program was introduced before the ADA.
Yeah. Yep.
And so we a little ahead of the time, which is actually a very good thing.
Right.
But I found Minnesota is always very progressive in that.
Yes, I agree. In 1998 is where we kind of really took off.
Okay.
So in 1998, that's the Assistive Technology Act.
Okay.
So that's why I'm here today to talk about assistive technology.
Awesome.
Started in 1998, where STAR continued to start receiving federal funding.
Okay.
We are totally federally funded.
Okay.
And then in 2004 is when they made it mandated in every state. So every state across the nation has a Minnesota STAR program. Different names, of course, and how they deliver their services. But every state and even 6 U.S. territories have this program available for people with disabilities.
But Minnesota was at the forefront for that.
I don't know if they were at the forefront, but we were mandated and we responded very quickly.
Okay. We're glad to have you in doing what you do.
Yeah.
Paul?
No questions for him right now. I'm soaking this all in.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you a little bit about what we do,
Okay.
If that helps. And so we are an organization that offers device loans of assistive technology. We have about 2,000 plus different types of assistive technology devices that are available for device loans, and I'll talk about that a little bit. We also do device demonstrations. So all of our devices are able to be demonstrated to people to show them how to use it, how to access buttons. If they can't access buttons, how to mount that maybe to be able to access those buttons. Then we also are a great resource for information and assistance. So people can just call us up and ask us different questions about assistive technology or about how to access something specific to them. And we're happy to brainstorm and come up with different solutions for people. And then the final aspect where we help is in training. So we go out and we spread the word about the Minnesota STAR program, which is one of the reasons why I'm here today, is just to be able to get our name out there, provide training on what we do, and how we can help people, how we can help Minnesotans.
How big of a client base do you have statewide then?
Right, so we serve all of Minnesotans.
Okay.
The only stipulation to utilize our program is that you do have to be a resident of Minnesota.
Certainly, okay.
So that is the only stipulation. So we potentially could serve, all of Minnesota.
Okay.
But I can't, we're a robust team of 4. And
So
there's
you
how
can't
many
be everywhere.
Right. There's how many millions of Minnesotans, right?
Certainly.
So we have some really awesome strategic partnerships throughout the state. We have 8 partners strategically placed throughout the state in all 4 corners, so that all of Minnesotans' needs can be met. And so we partner with them, and they kind of service those areas.
Okay. And do you have an idea of how many people you're serving as current? I mean, how many people are actively involved?
Well, for instance, for us, for just our department, I've probably done maybe to date, starting from January to now, I've probably done maybe 300 to 500 loans.
Okay.
So that's, it's a pretty good number. And I'm just one of 8 partners who are working throughout the state.
Okay.
And sometimes people are loaning multiple different devices at one time.
Okay.
So you might have a occupational therapist or a physical therapist who's loaning out maybe 5 devices for a patient who's recovering and rehabbing at one of their facilities.
Okay.
So,
And this is for people with disabilities they've perhaps born with, or people who've suffered strokes, things like that, that need a technology to help them kind of get back and moving into society.
absolutely, that is one of our base people who use our services. But I just want to make it known that we don't require a proof of disability at all. It's
Okay.
not a requirement to use our program. I want to stress that, actually. And all of Minnesotans can use this program. So from birth to death, we can service all Minnesotans equally. Anyone can utilize our services, like I said, so that does include professionals, just to educate themselves on different types of technology that's out there for their patients. We've had speech-language pathologists reach out to us and use communication devices for kids in schools to try it out to see if they want to, if it works for them before making those purchases. And the reason why they do that is because some of these devices can cost a ton of money. Like a communication device, for instance, can cost upwards to $6,000. And this program is really, that's what the heart of the program really is to allow people to be able to try devices before they buy them. So our loans run on a 45-day cycle. So a person can contact us, we'll set up a loan, absolutely free to use our services. We'll mail out the device to you, and you can have it for 45 days to try it in all your different environments. So that could be the cabin, it could be school, it could be work, home. The only cost to the program is then shipping the device back to us. So at the end of the loan, we pay the shipping to you. At the end of the loan, the cost would be your responsibility then.
Okay. So not a terrible out-of-pocket cost.
Yeah, no, not a terrible out of pocket.
That's really cool. I understand you brought some of your trinkets and toys with you today.
I did, yeah. I brought a range of technology that is going to be from very young to older individuals who could utilize the technology. So I brought some to kind of show you, and then everything in between. So hopefully it's a good kind of basic spread of what technology we have, and this is just a tip of the iceberg of what we have, actually.
Well, why don't we take just a quick break here? We're going to set up your table here, and we can show and demonstrate some of these to our audience.
Great.
James, you've brought with you today a number of items that are assistive technology for every age group. What's the first little item here we have?
So I brought our most fanciest item, and I want to showcase that right away, and it's the Obi self-feeding robot. So this is quite expensive, but it would really help somebody feed themselves and make independent choices when eating. So attached to the device are 2 switches that can be placed anywhere where the person has access to it. And then you can switch between the different tray compartments of food. And then when you're ready to select that tray and eat it, press the button and it brings it right up to your mouth. And I've programmed this before, so it's kind of to my height. I'm able to lean over,
And take
that bite, and then move on to the next piece of food.
That's very cool. That is very cool. And the target group for that, quadriplegics, is there a different?
Yeah, quadriplegics, CP, somebody who might have, muscle spasticity, limb loss, any of those that would assist.
Okay.
So it's a great product.
So Paul, that's your Christmas present next year.
Hey, I'm for it, believe me.
Awesome. Well, I brought some more devices.
Okay. And what do we have next year? And you
so-
brought something from every age group.
I did. I brought something from every age group. So starting with younger children, I brought some Switch adapted toys. So
Okay.
this is good for younger kids to do cause and play,
Okay.
who may not have the dexterity to push those little buttons in these arms.
Oh, sure.
You can take a regular Switch like this and plug it into the toy, press the button, and then you get to interact with Elmo.
Okay. And that's for somebody with dexterity issues or that type of thing.
Right, and it helps teach cosplay where they push it, they learn something from it. Elmo's reading you a book,
Okay.
Dinosaurs singing a song, and it just allows them to be able to have that normalcy of playing with a stuffed toy.
Right, and the ability to interact with toys as normal children, other children would.
Right. Then moving on to let's say teenage years or early 20s, we have a Nintendo Switch, and I think a lot of people are familiar with Nintendo Switches. But the problem is that these buttons are really minute, requires some fine motor control that some people might not have. Hori Flex is a Switch adapted device that allows you to take those tiny minute buttons and put them into a bigger button category, but also you can plug in a switch just like this for every input on that controller. So on the front is every input on that controller. You can plug in a switch for that.
Okay.
This switch can be placed anywhere where you have access to, whether it's the side of your head, the back of an elbow, your foot, wherever you have the ability to access that switch. And when you're pushing that, you're pushing the R button on that device, and you're interacting with the game. So it just gives
it works as a remote switch to the gamepad.
Right. Yep. Moving on. So we have let's say midlife. This is called a HomeAware. I actually have a personal story to share with you guys about this device.
Please do.
So we had somebody reach out to us who was looking for a device that would help parents who are both deaf. One was severely hard of hearing, one was deaf, be able to hear their baby cry at night.
Oh, sure.
They had just had a baby, and so they were a little concerned about whether they would be able to hear that baby in the middle of the night. Well, we presented this device to them. This is the HomeAware. Essentially, it comes with a baby cry signaler. So when this is placed by the baby in the crib, when the baby cries, it alerts this base unit, and this base unit was underneath the parent's bed or by the bedside, and this disc was placed underneath the pillow or underneath the mattress of their bedroom. So when the baby cries, it sends a signal to the base unit, and it vibrates this really aggressively, like it will wake you up from a dead sleep. Plus, the device has a bright strobe light on a large display that will display baby crying across the top. So with that, they were able to safely, go home with the baby and felt safe and secure.
As an aside, the strobe light also something they use on fire alarms for houses like that. not
Absolutely, yep,
Yeah.
yep. They have some fire alarms that have the strobe light for those who are deaf to be able to be alerted to emergencies.
Okay.
So also, we have a pour thing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. This just allows somebody to be able to pour beverages one-handed.
Okay.
So this can be placed in the fridge, keep your pop cold. And then with one finger, you can literally pour that liquid into a cup
okay.
with one finger. So this is great for patients who may have had a stroke where one side is affected,
Sure.
and it just allows them to be more independent with their eating.
Well, or even strength issues in the hands, such as that. Yeah.
Right. We also have the Ad Mouse. This is a simplified mouse. So if you have maybe essential tremors or tremors in your hand, and it's really hard for you to use a traditional mouse, this just allows a wider base and then buttons that are kind of recessed so that you're not accidentally clicking them. But basically, you can do all the functions of a mouse in this device right here: left, right, up, down. Left click, right click, double click, and then there's a sensitivity button, and then there's even an alarm. So if somebody needs help, if they're needing help with getting off a screen or whatever, if they're in a group home maybe, or they need help from staff or their loved ones, they can press that and we'll alert them to come and help.
Okay.
So that's kind of cool. And then
I have no idea how that porn got up on my screen.
yeah, exactly. So then we actually have a low vision keyboard. I know, Charlie, you were saying that you could use this.
There are days, I'll tell you.
I think it's great. It provides you the high contrast that you need to be able to see those keys. The letters are a lot bigger than a normal keyboard. So these are typically targeted towards low vision individuals who have low vision. Just to be able to provide them that contrast that they need to be able to access the keyboard correctly.
Do you find that, are there any older adults that would take advantage of using a keyboard like that? Not
Absolutely.
Not with a vision issue, but just because they don't have necessarily the dexterity to hit the small keys on a typical keyboard.
Absolutely. We utilize it in many different ways. So just because it's geared towards somebody with low vision doesn't mean that we can't use that for whatever else. This was actually designed for somebody who's blind.
Okay.
But as I was saying, it was a deaf couple that used it because it allowed them to have the vibration and the bright strobe light. So,
So it multi-use.
it's multi-use. Yep. All this stuff. I mean, it's really up to you how you want to utilize it. If you think it would work for yourself, then you try it out for 45 days and see how it goes. That's the purpose of our program. Moving into older seniors, we have the Freedom Alert. This is a emergency alert system.
Okay.
So if somebody falls, they can press the button. You can either call your loved ones first, and it will cycle through until somebody answers. And then if nobody answers, it will call 911 for you. And so there's no monthly subscription. You just pay the price of the device, about $200. You have to have a landline phone to be able to call 911. A great kind of cheaper alternative for seniors who maybe are a fall risk.
Yeah.
And then last, we have Joy, our companion pet, who is a great pet for people who might be in an assisted living or long-term care facility where real cats aren't allowed. This is a cat that the more you interact with it, the more it plays. So I'll turn it on really quick. You might not be able to hear the sounds, but it meows and it purrs. And the more you interact with it, the more active it becomes, and it rolls over, lets you pet its tummy. Now this has been very successful in calming dementia patients who maybe are having an episode where they're confused, and people who really like pets who aren't able to have them in assisted living facilities. This allows them to have that companionship and be able to interact with something.
Okay. Yeah, that would probably be a lot easier to take care of than my dog.
Right. No litter box changes.
Yeah, exactly. And no midnight walks.
That's all I had, guys. So it was just a sampling of what's available in our program.
Okay. And as the products age out, you have another program that can get them to people who can still use them, right?
Right. So once our technology ages out, because all technology does in about 5 to 7 years typically, we move our devices into an open-ended loan program.
Okay.
So normally our loans are 45 days, but in the open-ended loan program, they can keep the device for as long as they want. So as this ages and gets thrown into our open-ended loan program, a senior could keep this for as long as they wanted. And so that's the benefit of that program.
Now, when you have the 45-day loan at the beginning of the process, and they enjoy the product, they want the product, do you help them source it or tell them where they can receive it?
We can. So one thing I want to mention is that we're a non-bias agency. We're not supported by Freedom Alert. We're not
Right.
supported by Nintendo Switch.
Right.
We house, if there's several of these, we have all the different options. And that allows people to choose which brand they want.
Okay.
And so what we can do is we can help you, if this is the particular brand that you want, we can hook you up with them and just give you their contact information. And it's kind of up to you to figure out how you want to fund the device.
Sure.
And that can be done in a couple different ways. I don't really want to go into it here. It would take
yeah.
forever, but you can always contact us and we would obviously offer you some suggestions for funding and how to pay for some of these things.
Okay. So there's additional help in sourcing a product after they've demonstrated it.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And I would encourage you guys to check out our website. So our website is at4all.com.
Okay.
That's our lending library. And so that's where all of our devices are going to be housed.
Okay.
When you log on to our website, our home splash page is going to have different categories. So you're going to have hearing, vision, speech communication, daily living, environmental adaptations, and about 3 other ones that will kind of help you hone in your search.
Okay.
So you can select those categories, and then all the technology that's in that category will be displayed for you. And on our website, we have pictures, we have descriptions, we have the cost will be displayed, so you kind of have an idea of how much that item will cost. And then if you find a device, you place it into your shopping cart just like you would online shopping.
Sure.
Okay.
Check out that cart, and again, absolutely no fee to borrow our devices for 45 days, other than the shipping costs that I talked about earlier. And then I would need a loan agreement signed. So that's kind of the next step. If you're your own guardian, you're free to sign that, but if you are under guardianship, we suggest your guardian signing that loan agreement for you.
Okay.
And then once we get that back, we can mail that out, and it's yours for 45 days to try.
Do you work with any other agencies within the state? I'm thinking like in terms of the Met Council for Independent Living.
Yep.
That have agencies around the state. Do you help them in people sourcing items like these?
Not sourcing items, but we work with them on different projects. And so actually a couple of our partners are Center for Independent Living
Okay.
agencies, but we also partner with other state agencies. So we've worked with Department of Education to kind of help them determine assistive technology for their students and what that looks like in the school system.
Okay.
So we've had our input in that. We work with the DNR to see how we can get accessible equipment out into our state parks. That's a newer project that we might be working on, and hopefully that will come to fruition.
Well,
But
we've seen recently the ATV that they have for
Yes.
the state parks. A friend of mine has demonstrated that and says it's very fun and really does open it up freely for her.
yes, and I think our state is pretty progressive with, making sure our trails are accessible. I know Northern Minnesota has a bike trail that's really accessible. It's well known that it's accessible.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, lots of exciting projects that we work on with other state agencies to make everything accessible for everybody.
Okay.
So when someone contacts you and they're interested in your loan for the 45 days, do they ever run into, or there might be a wait period where you're waiting for, let's say, I'm sure you like your feeding device.
Yeah.
You don't have probably 10, 15 of those sitting
No.
around, but there's only so many of them. So could there be a wait time before?
There could be a wait time, and so, but the website will allow you to check it out, and it puts you on a waiting list. So you kind of know that when I get that device back and I check it back in, then you're alerted to like, hey, this device is back. Do you still want to proceed with a loan on this? And then I would be reaching out to you to kind of solidify that.
And the device you have for like the Switch, that's usable also for different type of gaming systems, or is that unique to them?
It is. You can use it for a PC as well.
Okay.
There's a little switch up here that says PC, and then there's the Nintendo Switch.
Okay.
So a couple of different options.
But
for
other
you.
products similar to that do exist for other types of
Absolutely,
gaming
yes. We
systems.
do have stuff that is accessible for PCs, stuff that's accessible for for Nintendo Switch. We don't have other gaming systems, but there are stuff out there. You could always reach out to me, and I could answer any questions you would have about that.
So outside of the products that you do handle, you can also help people locate other devices.
Absolutely.
Or such. Okay.
Absolutely.
That's good to know. Because,
That's where the info and assistance comes in. Anybody who calls us with a question. We also partner with Senior Linkage Line and the Disability Hub. So they're aware of our services. We've done several presentations, and we actually partnered with Disability Hub, and they just did a promotion where they really amplified assistive technology, what it is. And then we are the main contact for anybody who would see that marketing campaign. So we become the info and assistance that a lot of people need. And they will often contact us with their clients and say, what is the solution for this person? Is there any options for them?
Okay. So you're assisting people throughout the state and different agencies in making sure that their clients are aware and able to get to these things.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, Jameis, I want to thank you for coming. It looks like some great stuff. I want to take the cat home and just drive my dog nuts.
Yeah, you can check it out for 45 days.
I might have to do that.
Just be careful with it.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure he would come back in the same shape.
Well, then maybe you want to second guess that.
Yeah. So, James Wernberg, thank you for being with us today. I'd like to thank my partner here, Paul Prangoffer. I'm Charlie Brose. You've been watching Disability Landscape. We'll see you all next time.